If you've ever had a miscarriage or you've experienced infertility and a miscarriage, this one's for us. I'm your host, Kaylee Slagus. All right, let's get into it. I had a miscarriage about 4-ish weeks ago. June 26th is when I medically passed my baby in my bathroom. So I wanted to start off with a story about how anyone that goes through a miscarriage will have different opinions from different people. And I want to talk about it because it's never your fault. First of all, every single mom listening, whether you have a baby or you lost your baby or you have babies and lost your babies, it was never your fault. Never. I want to talk about a story that actually happened to me from someone that I really care about and that I really love and appreciate. I want to preface this by saying I don't think it was ever his intention to hurt me because we are really close. It's actually one of my cousins. He does some like coaching and things like that. And so I really think he came from a really good place, but it just didn't come across right. And I also have to give grace because he's a boy. He's a male. He doesn't know. He's never been in my shoes. And a lot of people have been in my shoes, but no boys have been in my shoes. So anyway, let me get into it. I texted all my cousins for just prayer and things like that. The day that I had my miscarriage, I was really struggling and my family's super close. Like we have a very close, strong knit family. And I reached out to all of them in a group message and just said, hey, like prayers are more than appreciated right now. And I told them everything that we were going through and went through. And my cousin texted me and he's like, Kays, let me call you. And I'm like, yeah, like awesome. So obviously when I get a call after that text, I'm assuming it's going to be, I'm so sorry. Like, is there anything I can do for you? Things like that. But instead I get on a call and his first question was, why did it happen? And I sat there and I was like, what do you mean? Why did it happen? Like I had a miscarriage. He's like, but why? And I'm like, most miscarriages, you never know why. Like that's just like a thing. Like you just don't know. They don't do tests. They don't do anything. You just don't know. He's like, no, like why do you think you had a miscarriage? Mind you, he's getting into his like coaching vibe, which I was not expecting for this call. I was hoping it was my cousin calling me. He really got into his coaching mindset. And so he's really questioning me the day I had my miscarriage. Crazy. And my husband was standing there and he kind of was hearing the questions. And he's getting like really annoyed. He's like, what is he saying? And I was like, just go. Cause he was going to go work out. I was like, just go. And so he left and it was just me and my cousin talking. And he continued to question like why I had a miscarriage. And I continually told him like, I don't know. Like, you don't know. There's not any reason why. And he said, no, there is a reason. You're the reason why. And I said, like, you don't say that to someone, first of all. And he was like, you're the reason why you had a miscarriage. And I'm like, what? He's like, anytime you had stress, basically anything about your health, anything like that, like you're the reason why it happened. And then I just didn't say anything because I literally had to mute it because I was crying and whatever else happened in that little time of the conversation, right? So then I muted the phone. I'm crying. At this point, I just wanted to hang up, but also it's my cousin, so I knew he would call back. So I was just whatever. I was like, who cares? I'm just going to deal with this. I'll get done with the phone call eventually. As he continued, he said, how bad do you want a baby? That was his question to me. I said, probably not a great question to ask right now as I still have like a baby inside of me. This was the day of our ultrasound that we were told we were having a miscarriage. So at this time, I still had my baby inside of me for a couple days before I medically passed it. I said, well, pretty bad. I literally have a baby inside of me that's not alive. So yeah, pretty bad. And he's like, no, like how bad do you want a baby? And I'm like, stop asking these questions. Like, this is stupid. Like, obviously bad. And he's like, but how bad? And he kept like digging. And I was like, obviously I've been doing everything for 2 years to get pregnant. I've struggled with 2 years of infertility, which he knew. I go to doctors. I do everything possible to get pregnant. Like every single month, I am constantly taking ovulation strips. I'm constantly watching my cycles. I'm constantly doing everything. Don't ask a woman who's gone through infertility, who's going through infertility, who's had a miscarriage, how bad she wants a kid and what she's doing to even try. Just don't. Okay. So this conversation just kept going on, and eventually it kind of got to something about my health and how I need to absolutely change my whole entire life if I actually cared about having a baby. Because basically me existing as a plus size girl, right? Any 200 plus pound girls going through miscarriage and fertility, and people just are like, oh, like because you're big is the reason why you're infertile, or because you're big is the reason why you had a miscarriage. First of all, being in a bigger body can impact fertility issues, but being in a bigger body, I don't think ever, I shouldn't speak on that, but has caused a miscarriage. Like, just because you're a bigger person doesn't mean you're going to have a miscarriage. That is like the furthest thing. I'm like, you're going to tell someone skinny that? Like, no. And so I think it just kind of comes around like me and my body and my health. He was like, if you really wanted a baby, you would change your whole entire life to have a baby. Basically, like, then he went into like how much was the lowest I've ever weighed, like all these things. And I'm like, 200 pounds. I'm 260 right now. Okay. Like, so this conversation went into something that it should have never. And there was a million more things that went on. But first of all, just want to make sure anyone that's going through this, it's not your fault. It never was your fault. Anyone that tries to make it feel or seem like it's your fault, it's not. Also, on that note, I wanted to talk about your community of people when you're dealing with a miscarriage or infertility or whatever your story is. Your people will be there for you. Your real, true people, okay? The people that truly care about you. Now, like my cousin, he was trying. That was his best way of trying. That was his way of thinking, hey, I can help her take control of her life. But it was not the right way. And I give him love, grace, whatever. It is what it is. You're going to figure out who your people are. I had friends, and if my friends are listening, love you guys, but also do better, be better. I went through literally the hardest thing in my life. And I had maybe 2 friends reaching out to me more than once. I had one of my best friends reaching out to me every single day, literally telling me she's researching everything to be a better friend to me who's going through a miscarriage. She said she's doing everything possible. Her just texting me every single day, how are you? How is this? Like, she is always there for me. She's always checking in on me, and she's constantly and consistently checking in on me. It's the absolute sweetest thing. Whereas other friends, I texted them, hey, I was pregnant. I'm not anymore. Surprise. And I got maybe 1 text back, and I never heard from them again. People that are really close to me never reached out again, never showed up on my doorstep, never sent me a card, never sent me a text. I could care less. You can spend $0, but you can show up for your friends. It really put life into perspective. Like, who are the people that are actually there for you in your deepest and darkest times? And even if they don't understand, my friend's never had a miscarriage, but she still showed up for me. It's like people can still show up and not understand what's going on or not understand anything about it. And I'm also trying to give people grace because they don't know any better. None of my friends are even married. Like, some of them are, but like really no one's married and no one has kids. So I'm not going to blame them for not knowing, but also, like, girls, find your real friends. Find the ones that are there for you and are supporting you, even if they don't understand what you're going through. I think with infertility, miscarriages, things like that, grief, losing someone you love, you will begin to realize who your people are. And honestly, I think that's an important thing in life, to find people that you've outgrown and to find people that are truly there for you. Going through something like a miscarriage, all I want is to have a family. That's literally my biggest heart's desire. I want to be a mom. I want to see Matt be a dad. And the people that are closest to my life, they know that. And if they can't be there to support you in that, just like take a hint, They don't have to know the right words, but they can be there for you. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And same with family. I have an amazing family. All my other cousins were reaching out, saying all these things. All my family was there for me. My mom has been my rock through all of this. I love you, Mom. Like, seriously, every single day she would be crying with me. She would be asking me how I'm doing. I would cry. I would call her and she would already be crying because she was feeling all these things firsthand. Also, I'm her rainbow baby after her miscarriage. And so I just think all of it together like all just plays a part in it. But my mom sat there and listened to every single emotion. She looked at our baby when it was in the toilet when I passed it to be there for me. And her support is just amazing. And same with my brother and my sister and my dad, and all of my family truly has been amazing. But I really think when you go through something like this, you see what people are there for you. But also, I just want us to also take a moment and realize that some people just don't get it. And one day, we pray that they will never have to go through it. But one day they might go through something and they're going to need someone there. And guess who's going to be there for them? Us. Because we get it. And I think that's really hard and really challenging, but we just got to keep giving grace, and we got to keep our heads up, because not everyone will know what to do or how to act. And that's why I'm speaking on it, because maybe you're listening and your friend's going through it, and maybe now you're like, wait, I need to reach out to my friend. And also, someone that's going through a miscarriage, remember that every single day it hurts. It's not just, oh, you heard it and the doctor told you on an ultrasound today that you had a miscarriage. It's every single day after that. I don't know when the heck it's going to stop. I don't know if it ever stops. I don't know. I should be like 14 or 15 weeks. I 2 weeks ago should have already known our gender of our baby. I went to a wedding I should have been pregnant at. I shouldn't be able to have a sip of alcohol. I shouldn't be able to eat deli meat. There's all these things that are really, really hard when you're going through a miscarriage, because it's all the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I guess that's the next topic I want to talk about, is when you have a miscarriage, the moment you see a positive pregnancy test, you're a mom. Your life changes. I literally, the moment I saw the test, my whole world changed. And then when I had the ultrasound and I lost my baby, my whole world changed. Me and my husband were dreaming about what this baby would be. Even before we were pregnant, we'd been dreaming about it. But as soon as you see the pregnancy test be positive, your whole world flips upside down. It was our time to have a baby. We were dreaming about, is it a boy? Is it a girl? Could it be twins? We started looking at the rest of the year. I was due in January. So I'm sitting on my couch being like, I'm going to be so pregnant on my couch during Christmas. I'm going to be opening presents so pregnant. All these things that you're thinking about. We planned a trip to Vegas. That was going to be our baby moon, because Matt wasn't going to be able to travel with work, and then I couldn't travel during the winter months because I'd be in my third trimester. So we decided to plan a baby moon to Vegas, and now our baby moon is just a vacation. So all the should have beens is really, really hard. And I just want to speak on that, because I saw a video somewhere. I have no idea where, and I don't even remember what it said. But what I took from it was, if we believe in God, I believe in God. I believe God creates everything, does everything. Everything is in motion because of him. And with my faith, that has been my solid ground during all of this. I would not be where I am to this day without my faith. And knowing that God has the best intentions for me in my life, and I will never understand it. And I'm a person of control. I control everything. I love control. I love being in control. And God grabs my hand and he's like, Kaylee, I'm in control. And I say, God, okay. I had a miscarriage, and I'm not blaming God. I'm not questioning God, because I know he has a better plan for me. And I know that's so cliche, but it is so true. I have always felt a little bit like I'm an unlucky person, and I don't know if anyone can relate. And I think it's just because I got diagnosed at a young age with PCOS and a unicornic uterus, and being told at age 16 you might not be able to have kids. It might be hard. You might need extra help. And I also had torn my ACL at the same time, was taken out of sports. Just at the time, I just felt like I'm just not lucky. At the time, I never had a boyfriend. No one ever liked me. It was just a bunch of things adding up. And I always kind of felt like, oh, I'm just not that lucky. And I remember when I was 16, I read the book of Job in the Bible, and I had read on it. And when I had my miscarriage, and I opened my Bible for the first time in a while, I always am praying. I just am really bad at reading my Bible. But I opened the book of Job, and I sat there and I just started reading again. And it reminded me that Job was God's most faithful person. Like, it didn't matter what happened, he was praising the Lord. Satan said, okay, take everything from him. Will he still praise you? So God allowed that to happen. God allowed Satan to take everything from him to show that Job will still praise the Lord. And he literally got everything taken from him. Satan took everything from him, but he still praised the Lord. So yes, God allowed it to happen. He wasn't the one that did it. He allowed it. Satan did that. So I look at that even with my own life and my miscarriage. God allowed it. Whatever the reason was, God allowed it. My prayer before our ultrasounds were, if this baby isn't healthy, if this baby is going to affect my health, if there's anything wrong, God, see it. See it before I can see it. And do what you need to do before it affects my baby or myself. Like, protect my heart. And I know he is constantly doing that. Is life fair? No. And am I sitting here like, wow, thank you, Jesus, for giving me a miscarriage? No. But I'm saying thank you, God. I'm saying thank you, Jesus, because I don't know what could have been. And speaking of the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, when you have a miscarriage and you're looking at, I should be this, I should be 15 weeks today, I should be buying a car seat today, I should be getting my nursery ready, this is my baby's due date. This is where I'd heard on a video that if you really believe in God and you trust his divine timing, then we shouldn't be 12 weeks. This shouldn't be our due date, because if we trust him, the should-haves would have been, and they're not. So for me, because one of the biggest things, like I said, is I should be 12 weeks today. I should be this today. I should find out the gender today. All these should-haves are the hardest part for me, because I imagine a life with my baby in it that I created in my mind while my baby was alive. And now that I no longer have that baby and that pregnancy is done, well, it shouldn't be. Because if it should be, it would have been. That's really hard to grasp. And I still sit here and I'm like, I should be this, I should be that. I'm really trying to work hard on that mindset, because we shouldn't be. That wasn't God's plan for us or his intention for us. If you're not a spiritual person, if you don't believe in what I believe, that's okay, and please stay. I'm not trying to push any of my thoughts or beliefs onto you. These are just the ways that I am coping and the ways that I get through things. And I just felt the need to share that, because truly, like, my healing journey and my healing process is only with God. I don't know how else people do it. And there are so many other tools and tricks that we can do on top of that, right, to help us navigate those things. But that is just something that my story wouldn't be my story without that. I don't know about you, but going through infertility prior to having a miscarriage, if that isn't something that you've dealt with, you might understand like next steps after a miscarriage, because now you might be like, I'm ready to have another baby. And for me, it was 2 years before this pregnancy, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. I remember my first thoughts when we figured out we had a miscarriage was, no, I have to do this all over again. If you have gone through infertility, it is so hard. It is the constant watching of your body. Am I taking ovulation strips at the right time? Am I watching my apps to make sure like, oh, okay, my ovulation is probably about to happen. I need to start taking strips. I need to start tracking it. I need to do all these things. And then you watch, and then you're like, oh, hey, we need to have sex today. I'm ovulating. And you do this over and over and over again every single month. And if you break it down and you look at a month, you got 4 weeks in a month. Let's just say you spend the week figuring out when your ovulation is, then you ovulate for a few days, and then you wait another week till you get your period. And in that waiting, you're like, am I pregnant? Am I not? And then you get your period for a week. Okay. There's your 4 weeks in a month. If you do that over and over and over again for 20 to 24 months, and I know many of you have even done it for 10 years, but I'm just speaking on my experience. For 20 to 24 months of doing that, it's exhausting. It is so tiring. I don't want to take another freaking ovulation strip. I don't want to have to worry about, oh, when's my period coming? Am I going to get a period, or am I going to be pregnant? Oh, and then I have PCOS, so I already have irregular cycles, and now my period's late, but I'm not pregnant. You go through so much. And yes, men and women both go through it. And I think it's not talked about enough, the things that men go through with a miscarriage, with infertility. But I do think that a woman goes through so much, because we not only go through the mental things that the men will go through, we go through the physical things. Physically, we have to do all these things every single day to be tracking our bodies, to watch for symptoms and changes. And it's just not easy, and it is exhausting. And when we found out we had a miscarriage, I'm like, I cannot do this. I cannot do this again. But then it's weird, because on the flip side, my only hope and my only thing I'm holding on to is the fact that we got pregnant So let's do this thing again. I'm so ready to be a mom and I know how long it takes and I'm not going to miss a month. We got 12 months. I'm not going to miss a month of trying. I don't think I necessarily feel emotionally ready. I still cry like 5 times a day. Little things trigger me. But when will we ever be ready? And what's to say you're not going to have another miscarriage? What's to say you're not going to have more issues? I pray and hope to God that that's not the case. But for me, I'm like, I feel like I need to try. And that's just my experience on this first miscarriage. And that's not everyone's experience. I've had many people message me saying, I need to take a month. I need to take this time or do this. And I'm like, please, no one has the correct way of doing it. For me, I just feel like I need to try again because that's my only hope. For me, end goal is I want a baby and I want that for my life. So that's just something that I feel like I need to just do. There is literally no right or wrong answer to how you grieve, how you move forward after this. And I also want you to know that just because I might be trying right away doesn't mean that you should feel ready to try right away. And just because I feel a certain way doesn't mean you need to feel a certain way. I have hope in having another pregnancy, and that's why I want to try again. But I also struggle because a lot of people will say, oh, well, look, you struggled with infertility, but you got pregnant. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that is hopeful. And I do feel that hope. And if I had to find a positive about this situation, we got pregnant. Some people never experience that. People could be going through 10 years of infertility and we're just praying that they could at least experience a positive pregnancy test. So for that, I am thankful. But it also doesn't guarantee that I'll have another one. And I think everyone's grasping onto straws and it's like, how do I help? How can I say the right things? And so people will say, well, look, you got pregnant. So maybe you'll, get pregnant again right away. And yeah, I'm holding on to that hope too, but it also can be triggering. It's like, why do you have to say that right now? I don't know. I think it's super easy to be super triggered with anything anyone says. I also have gotten like, oh, you're so young. Yeah, I am 25, gonna be 26 in 6 months. So like the more that I keep struggling with infertility and struggling with having a baby or have the miscarriage, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old you are. I could be 20 years old. It doesn't make my pain any less. But I also can understand like you're 35, 38 and you're like, I can literally not get pregnant. That also, it's a whole different story in itself. Like I still have fertile years, right? And there could be people watching this that might be close to the time where it's like, this isn't an option for me anymore. And that's a whole different type of pain that I won't understand. But yeah, I just think everyone has an opinion and everyone's story is different. Personally, I'm just going to speak on this. Like there are people that have had a miscarriage that they were not trying, right? They weren't trying beforehand and they had a miscarriage and then they get pregnant again right away. That's not to dismiss their miscarriage, no. But I struggle because I have been struggling with infertility. And I think that adds a whole nother layer on top of all of it. Not that it's any less hard or more hard, but it just adds another layer. And I think for me, there are so many people that message me saying, you're not alone, we're relating. I'm like, oh yes, like we are relating 100%. But I remember right away when it first happened, I'd get messages and I'm like, but your story's different than mine. Like I feel differently than you, even though we have gone through a miscarriage and we both experience that. We both feel that loss. But I feel like everyone's story to getting there or the things they're yearning for is just different. And so even within miscarriages, I think we are all allowed to have different feelings and different thoughts. Everyone's story is different. So I know I'm going to be mindful about speaking to people in the future that have had a miscarriage because I want them to know that their story is unique to themselves and they're feeling emotions I maybe will never feel. Just like I experienced emotions maybe they would never feel, vice versa. So I don't know. I just think being open-minded, even within the miscarriage community, is really important and to not dismiss anyone's feelings. Just because I struggled with infertility before having a miscarriage doesn't make your miscarriage any less. It's just, that's something I struggled with. So that's another added layer. You have your own added layers. And that's not to dismiss anyone's feelings about anything. And I think it's just super important to know that. Anyway, there is so much that we can go in and talk about, but mentally, physically, spiritually, I'm exhausted. And the best that I can do is just remind you that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to also be happy at the same time. I have been really working on sadness and happiness coexisting because they do, and they are allowed to. You don't only need to be sad. You don't only need to be happy. You can experience both feelings. I was struggling with anxious thoughts around, I used to pray for this life. I used to pray for a husband. I used to pray for a house. And now I have it. And now all these days that I'm sitting here sad because of my miscarriage, I'm like essentially wishing those days away. And I don't want to do that either because every single day is a gift. I've been trying to figure out a good balance between grief and happiness and enjoying the moments I'm in while also being sad. Because I am not going to waste away my life. Our life is so precious, but I also need to allow myself the space to feel hurt and to feel sad. I know I'm not the only one dealing with those emotions. We can't judge other women knowing, hey, they just went through a miscarriage. We see them getting a drink at the bar. We see them on vacation smiling. We see them hanging out with friends. We see them sitting at home crying. There's a million ways that people are going to continue with their life because life does keep going on. The day after I figured out I miscarried, I had to go model 2 days in a row. I modeled both of those days with a dead baby still in my stomach. My baby with no heartbeat was still in my stomach, and I still had to go through that. Life continues. So just because we're figuring out how to navigate a life that we never thought we'd have to deal with doesn't mean that we just get like to pause, right? So navigating grief, sadness, and happiness all at the same time, it's hard, but we can do it. And we are allowed the space that we need to be joyful and to experience sadness. Whoever's been going through this, I'm so sorry. It was never your fault. It never will be your fault. If you're now on your journey of, okay, I already had my miscarriage and I'm on my next steps of trying again, give yourself time. Start right away. Whatever feels right for you is right for you. There's no right or wrong answer, but I don't wish this on anyone. And sadly, so many women experience it. And I just hope my conversation around it inspires you, helps you, makes you feel less alone. Something. Maybe you're listening and you're like, I hated everything she said. Well, then I'm glad I could be an outlet for your anger because there was moments I feel so angry and I don't know where to put it out and I don't know who to put it out on. Use me as that and keep your relationship strong. I know even between me and Matt, we've had really good moments together and other times where we're both just irritable. And it's just a reminder to be kind to each other and love each other and give ourselves grace. So I hope you know I am a safe place for you to be, and I hope you feel that. And again, I am so sorry from the bottom of my heart if you have had to experience this firsthand. Anyway, see you guys next time.